Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's May 28th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and it's Monday on Tuesday, basically. Hope everybody had a good holiday and enjoyed the 3-day weekend. What looked like was going to be a quiet range day turned out to be a pretty good trading day. We had a fairly nice sell-off here in the afternoon. Notice we had this two-tiered channel working down, and we had one leg down, and we had a little correction, and then we had another leg down. Once we started lower, I would have at least looked for a measured leg down. I think we got much more than that. I'd measure it here first. I'd probably actually start it from there, and that would have been your target, but um, technically this is where the down trend. It is basically the same spot, so that basically keeps you in a downtrend until the 2 o'clock hour, but we went much lower than that. We went, and there's all the way back down to the low end of the tier, and traded on down for the rest of the day. So, but that would have been my first near-term target right there, and that would have kept you in a short until at least in the 2 o'clock hour. So, not a lot of trades today. Most of them are fairly straightforward, though. Let me back out a little bit. We'll talk about the trades, and we will wrap it up. When I came in this morning, 7 o'clock is right in here somewhere in this little move up here. We turn down, and we bounce right here. This was a very tempting trade. Only problem is, I mean, you can see this was pretty clear off the upper side, which is how I drew that first and then drug it down. But that's the first. We didn't quite get back to that trend line here, so you might have had this a little higher. But really, you're going to start off your very low, which is right there, which puts it right here. And you can see that's pretty accurate all the way up. So it's a little hard to take that first trade on a first entry. It is off a key entry point, though. I mean, you could probably argue for it to be green. But I think you're better off to wait on the second entry, which comes right here. That's a fairly, it's not a perfect bullish bar, but it's definitely bullish. Second entry. And that does confirm the trend line. We actually come back again once more here and make another bullish bar that bounces higher. We actually get a close outside this time. That's a little bit congestive, but with it breaking lower several different times there, notice it went lower once and then it went lower twice here. Even though it's going higher a few times, if you just look counting off this low, that's a failed second entry short right there. So that's I like that one. And look at it go. It takes off. We actually pull back again here, but it breaks lower, bounces right off the trend line key entry point, and turns and goes out the other side. It's just a little too risky. Now we're starting to get away from the EMA, and you see it's not long before it corrects here. And I'd stay out of this. There's just no reason to trade that. And then we actually get a little breakout pullback short on the second entry. That's not a perfect signal bar either, but we made that high there, and we tested it once, we tested it twice. It's a pullback to test the breakout area. We're looking for a possible move down. I would look at the very least, I would look for a measured leg similar to this one, because you can see that leg down, then there's a two-leg correction, then we head down again. And so I would look for a minimum. You can see we bounced right about that location there. Wasn't much of a bounce, and then headed lower again. So I like that one. Again, it's close to being green because it's not a really good bar. But if you understand what's going on here, we're probably going to get another leg down. And so if you understood that, I'd be okay with that. And also, there is another little shorter term trend line right here that I don't have on there. I don't want to put it on there because somebody asked me about this, and they were playing this trend and they completely forgot about the bigger one there. But even then, there's a bigger picture up here as well on the two-tiered. So what you have to sometimes remember is that there's different levels here, and that's why price action works on every level. But sometimes you have to narrow down and look for the smaller, more micro trends. And so here you've got two legs down, then you get a two-legged correction, and a lot of times that's the middle of the pattern. So if you measure that and we get a measured leg down, you're looking for prices to come down to right there. Notice you get a perfect measured move and it bounces. That would have been a perfect target, perfect measured move. And that's what I would have looked for. There was two swings in that one, and there was multiple swings in this one, but you can see that two-legged correction right in the very middle. And so I would draw that trend line off of that too. You really don't confirm that until here. This is what I wanted to really talk about. The trader asked me. He actually had a very similar chart. His bars actually look better than mine here. But notice you come back once, you go down, you come back twice. So is that two separate touches? Technically, no. But you could look at it that way if you wanted to. And if everything else is pointing to the downside, there's no reason you couldn't say, okay, that's two attempts that confirm the trend line. You'd want a good signal bar, which you don't get on my chart. That's too bullish. That's too bullish. I don't think his was a whole lot better, but I think his bar here on the second entry, when it broke lower right here, was a second entry short. If I'd had a bearish bar right there, I'd say go short, because I think you're going to get another leg down there based on what I showed you a minute ago. But you can see my bar is actually bullish, and he had a real neutral bar there. So, but just remember, there's always different levels, and this is just a little level that's even lower than this next one. There's a little correction right here, a little trend. Really, you need more than 3 bars to really consider it a short-term trend, but you can still see that it's trending up there, so you could look at it that way. But just keep that in mind. And then we're moving down, and we get notice you make that high right there, and you try to go higher, and you get so you're basically just getting a lower high here, and it actually broke higher and turned and went out the other side. It's still 2 legs back, even though we went a little lower here. It's still a 2-legged correction. It still looks very much like that, which is a 2-legged correction. So if you had a good setup here, I wouldn't have any problem going short. It broke higher, and when it went out the other side of this bar right here, if you had a sell stop right there, I'd be all right with that. Because that's been a pretty good trend down, and the measured move is down here somewhere. We don't quite have that, and you can see it's making lower highs and lower lows still. So that's worth considering there. Then now you got your close outside, 2 legs down to a new low, and you reverse. You actually get a reversal pattern right here on a second entry long. Notice that you got a new low first entry and then second entry. Really, when it broke higher here, it was considered a second entry, a failed second entry long. But I would wait on that just to see if you don't get a second entry. And you do right there. And even then, it's not a good signal bar, so I just marked it green. This is an uptrend. I mean, this is still a downtrend in the bigger picture too. If you draw that down through there, of course we hadn't got back there yet, so that's what you're kind of shooting for, is just to run back up and touch that. You're not really looking for prices to start trending here. Notice that we're not down to the overnight lows yet, and that's a concern as well. So you'd still be looking for prices to go lower here, and so it's really risky. But you could consider that a failed second entry short with a second entry long right there, and you do have room to get out before getting back up here. So if it had a really good signal bar, I'd say yeah, maybe. But the way it looks here, I'd just give that a green one. I'd probably skip it. I really would. But notice you get a break, you make a new high, you try to go higher again, and it fails and turns down. And when it went out the other side, I like going short right there. Or if you waited till this bar closed, at least on my chart, it's still bearish, but you got a lot of stem down here, and and you're having to get in a lot closer to the EMA. So that's a question mark. So when it broke higher and turned down, I like going short right there with still a lot of room left back to the EMA. But it doesn't matter. It just keeps going. But you don't know that, so you got to play it properly, because if we knew exactly what it was going to do, we'd know every trade to take and every trade not to trade. take. So, but nice little trend working down. There's a little higher low right here, and it is off the key entry point. It's not much. I mean, it's one tick there. I'd skip that and just wait on a lower high, which you actually get one here. And again, it's off that key entry point there. But again, you got a little trend line working up. There's no break yet, and that's not a very good signal bar. It's more neutral really than it is bearish or bullish. So I'd just skip it. And of course we work up here and you get a second leg up, and there's actually a little trap right here, but I wouldn't go long into that resistance right there. I'd be looking for a short if anything, because this is looking like a range across here now. You can see that working across there, and that's from the overnight lows as well. And so that's about where you would expect it to bounce, right in there. So you make your low, you test it once, and there's a double test here and a second entry long. But that downtrend is still in play, so you got to be concerned about it. But I mean, this is a trade you may want to take, so I probably should at least mark it green, because we may continue higher from here and go back to the high side of the range again. At least this part right here, you can see we're starting to form some resistance right across here. Go ahead and just put a line there so it's pretty obvious. You can see that resistance across there. So you got to be real careful going long into that. There's a little bit of room there, so that's a possibility, but honestly I'd probably skip that one too. It is a failed second entry short. You got a new swing low there. First entry, second entry. It's a lot of sideways action there, and it is right into resistance. So I'm a little hesitant of it. But now you got your break here. You got a leg up. You got a little trap there, and a big bearish bar. I like going short there. You get a lower high right here. Fairly bearish bar. Again, you get a failed second entry long right here. But you don't know at that point if this is not your trend channel line here and not a midline. Because you could drop this down just a little bit and it still fits and everything's closing inside of it. So it's kind of hard to know for sure. So I'd skip that one. You get another correction, 2 legs back to the trend line, EMA. But again, I get an inside, you got a bullish bar and then the inside neutral bar. Just not a very good setup for whatever reason. I've seen a lot of that lately on my chart. So I don't know if the rest of you are seeing something similar or it's just been my luck of the draw lately. But notice you get a break outside here, and notice we're still pushing down lower here. So there's probably going to be an equal distance trend channel line over here. And you can see we eventually get down to it over here, and we're bouncing off of it. But there's a new high here, first entry, and then a second entry, and it fails. And that's a relatively bullish bar. I like going short right there. And you can see it just works on into the 2 o'clock hour and just continues to work lower in the lower end. And then we get 2 legs back, and you get another setup here off the key entry point in the EMA. Another lower high here. Those would have been some decent trades if it wasn't after 2 o'clock. And we eventually get an overshoot down here, and that leads to a break, a new low, and then we'll have to see what we do from there. But we're really into the next trading day now. So, you know, not a bad day, but not a really good day. I mean, really up until we went lower here, you almost had to play this as a range. And so you can see there's some trades both ways here. But when you're going sideways, the key is to try to get in at the lows and to get long at the lows and sell at the highs. So that's the reason I don't really like these, trying to get long. Of course, we weren't thinking range here. But by the time we got these couple of trades, you should be thinking, hey, it looking like a range now. So anyway, not a great trading day, not a bad trading day. A lot of times when you come back from a 3-day weekend, it's kind of quiet like this. So honestly, considering we just came off a 3-day weekend, we got some pretty good movement here in the afternoon. Looks like most everybody was still gone on vacation. Decided they weren't going to come in and trade till after lunch. That's kind of what it looks like here. And then you can see we really had some things picked up here in the afternoon. So anyway, hope you had a good trading day. Um, that's going to do it for today. We'll be back and we'll do it again tomorrow, but I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.